G'day parceros. In this video, I'm going to take extreme ownership of the events, the life that has brought me to where I am today. Based on the comments in the previous video, some people haven't seen or taken the time to look at some of the other videos where I've explained my perspective of what happened in the previous chapter that we were all on this channel. In order for me to move on in congruence in my full potential into the next chapter, I want to make this video to be transparent, to take ownership of the things that I've learned in this process. And I think this will be really valuable for a lot of people who are doing business. I know I did a interview on Life with David's channel, and a lot of people understood the lessons, and some people valued those lessons that I shared. So I want to kind of run through everything that's happened and why I take full responsibility. I recently saw an Alex Hormozi video saying that the first step of getting out of poverty, or at least the poverty mindset, is saying it's my fault, even if it isn't. Saying it is your fault gives you complete power, complete ability to change and evolve the situation. And I think that's something I've always tried to innately do, but of course we're all great at tricking ourselves sometimes. So I want to kind of walk through these with you. So first of all, it's my fault for attempting to do business in a foreign language in a foreign country. That is something I chose because I had a fear of following the system and getting a job back in Australia and having, I think, quite a predictable and mundane life for me. I chose to roll the dice and explore the world and look for something greater. I've always looked for business opportunities that would get me out of that hourly salary type role. Now, maybe I did that too early. I think a great strategy is, using a hopefully valuable degree to get a high-paying job. My degree was quite generic. It was a generic business degree that taught me the last dying textbooks of the early 2000s, pre-internet, pre-social media. It was one of the most generic kind of late 90s marketing and business degrees that became useless very quickly as soon as I entered the workforce. So I take responsibility for choosing a harder path with higher upside. I take responsibility. It's my fault who I went into business with. And will I partner again? Maybe. I think a team of partners is important. I know my first partner in Bogota, we had verbal agreements, we had kind of light contracts. At one point, I had 70% and he had 30%. And then when it came time to merge with the Medellin group, who had the passive income investment model, his value was needed at that time. They already had the roles taken care of that I was doing, the investor relations, the sales, the marketing, the content marketing. They already had that. So he was in a stronger position, and he used that position to renegotiate at the time of the merger to get a 50-50 split of the equity that we were basically getting in that merger. So that is my fault, that I went into business without the equity to be able to buy and hire instead of partner. So when you're bootstrapping, and this is when I was in Bogota, I'd finished my not finished, but I'd kind of, I guess I had finished my motorbike trip from Canada to Argentina. I came back to Colombia, and I was setting up a life, setting up business. So I didn't have a lot of capital. I was bouncing, I was running on fumes for many years. And during the 6 years doing business in real estate in Bogota, I was probably lived on an average of about $300 to $500 a month. Based on, commissions would come in here. I was doing telenovela, acting gigs. Like, I was just kind of getting by for a very long time. And when we merged in, we had the opportunity to go for a bit more of a stable income. I was making 3 million there for a couple of years, and then for the last year or two making 7 million pesos, which is about $24,000 a year. Now, we were always sacrificing salary to grow the business. I think that was the right move. I think it was when I started putting part of that salary into a crypto portfolio that actually saved me when things went sour. So I look at the process of like, okay, how did it go sour? And what's my fault? After the merger, I stepped up and said, listen, there's an opportunity in video here, especially creating vlogs on YouTube. We have a great story here, we have a great movement. So I stepped up and started making vlogs, and I eventually, the success of that led me to be basically the face of the company. Now, I was a minority owner. I had 3 or 4% over, with the vesting period. And I was the face of the company that I wasn't leading. But I know, as someone who was putting ideas out there, that my ideas were leading the vision and the brand of the company. And the original partners were very much on board with that. They got it. They were Gen Xers, but they got social media. They knew the importance of it. I think right now in 2023, everyone's realizing, oh, that was exactly the thing we should have been doing, 7 or 8 years ago when we began that. Now, when they started bringing in outside partners, I had to trust their judgment. They were leading the company, and they brought on investors and created a board of directors in order to get us ready for international expansion, which I wanted, right? It's my fault for not being more vocal. Being in Bogota, I always I didn't get to see inside the process deeply, but it's my fault for not being more vocal about why are we taking on these outside investors. I would like to grow slower with what we have than expand quickly and take on outside investors. That's my fault for not getting vocal in that situation. Now, when these new partners started exiting partners, and eventually in the pandemic deciding to, after attempting to transfer the investors to ownership of the business instead of ownership of the individual investment projects, they stopped the administration of the projects. And that's when an email leaked, and that's when all of these rumors started. And our amazing vision and brand was beginning to be tarnished. Now, as face of the company, it's my fault for not getting loud and causing a bit of a stink publicly. I didn't. Why? I thought we could figure this out. I was on a finca outside of Medellin. I was in email communication with the CFO who had become the CEO, who was exiting the founders, and he asked if I was on board with the vision. Of course I was on board with the vision, but they had different plans and egos, and they had their $100 million WhatsApp group that I was not a part of. So at that point, I could have gotten pretty loud and dramatic and ridden the momentum that I had on this channel to really do something. Do what? I don't know. It would have been quite an aggressive play. possible. Not really that kind of guy. Am I now? Maybe. We'll see if anyone ever tries to do that again. I take ownership for not stepping up as the face of the company at that point. I had conflicts of interest going on behind the scenes, so I chose to take it, you know, like let it play out before kind of going on here. It was a really, really tricky situation with a lot of different factors in play. So it's my fault that these rumors escalated, because I was in a good position at that point, you know, public facing, a great momentum on the channel to get out there and start explaining exactly what it is, and basically go to war with the people who are hijacking the guts. And by guts I mean the database and the best assets and the soul of the company. And by soul I mean the original founders and the people who built this vision. I decided to, you know, try to be a bit more pacifist, and kind of navigate it that way. So that's my fault that these rumors started spreading, and to this day, based on the comments, it seems like people think that, oh, I took the money and ran away, or they took the assets to Puerto Rico. They created an entity in Puerto Rico and excluded the original founders. Very important detail. The investors all own their assets, all right? The manager of their assets was changed. Those assets they have record-breaking profits, many of those assets. In Cartagena, Medellin, like, they own cash-flowing short-term rental assets in the hottest emerging markets across Latin America, Colombia, Puerto Rico. Like, they're doing okay. There was an interruption to their cash flow during that period, during that transition of us terminating the management of the properties and moving on. So I accept responsibility for that. That's my fault that you know, I was on the front lines representing a group of people that I didn't even know anymore. That's why I was moving to Medellin. I didn't know these people that were running the company. That's why you'll see the last videos before that, I'm talking about other things. I'm not talking about the company. I wanted to go in and talk, who's the company? Who is this people that we're entrusting to lead these assets? So when they forced me to, well, yeah, they forced me to exit the company. They offered a severance package, which was insulting for the years that I'd put into the company and the value that I'd provided for the brand, for all of the fundraising. It was purely insulting. We didn't get to an agreement with that. I walked away empty-handed. That's my fault. I could have played that whole game differently. Right, so I ended up with zero at 37 years old, walking away from a company that I'd been building towards for the past 10 years. Right, my most energetic earning years, walking away with nothing. They attempted to offer me about $1,000 a month, approximately, for 3 months, to hand over my YouTube channel and say goodbye. And they were going to take everything to Puerto Rico and continue onwards. Like, come on, really? So I found myself broke, 37 years old. I had a $5,000 crypto portfolio. I dove into Web3 and crypto because I see that technology is extremely important, and so I went into the highest risk part of crypto and navigated it quite well. At one point my portfolio was a 20x, but I cashed out about a 10x, and that's what had been living off the last 2 years. Before, during the bull run. That was when it was, easier to make money. but cashing out at 10x that allowed me to live. Because another thing that is my fault is that during this period in our company, I was very focused on content creation and vlogging, and I got to a point where I could make 1 to 2 vlogs a week and generate significant value for the company. Now, it's my fault for not getting deeper into the weeds, into the guts, into the boring hard work, which in that company there was quite a few different areas, from the development and management of the projects to the accounting and administration of these projects. Those kind of areas is where I could have spent a lot more time and built a lot more valuable skills. So that's my fault that I was kind of not as ready to do exactly the same type of company again, or move straight into real estate. I made a couple real estate videos for various projects in Medellin when shit went down. No sales commissions came from it. I got paid to make those videos and publish them, which I thought would be, I wanted to get into real estate market, what I'm actually doing now. But when I was in Colombia, it wasn't happening. I was generating 150 leads for a project, and I don't really have a way to follow up with them except for emailing them and saying, hey, did you buy the property? I have to trust the developers and the sellers of properties to respect the commission for leads that I generate. And in Colombia, there's no real estate licenses. It's very Wild West type of industry, and I can't say that I can trust developers or sellers to do that if I send them a lead. It's my fault for not wanting to become a real estate agent, and that was probably a better financial move at that point, to just become a real estate agent immediately. I attempted, or I dabbled in that by doing a $1 million Medellin penthouse tour. At that point, our company, my former company's lawyer, sent me a cease and desist email because I was competing with Life Afar, which is an absurd accusation, considering it's a different market, considering it was literally a video about a penthouse. So it's my fault for not getting a bit more aggressive in that battle. I was up against a team of people who can draft contracts and legal threats all day, and to be honest, that's really what their focus was, and that is a very valuable focus, to sit in the boardroom all day and go to war with contracts and operating agreements. That's how you effectively gut a company of its value and soul. So it's my fault for not being prepared for that. It's my fault for not being equipped to go into a partnership battle like this. So what have I done to take my power back? I've accepted that it's all me. I don't blame anyone else for being in the situation I am. I've been transparent as much as I can by doing interviews and explaining my perspective as everything that I know and saw from where I was in our company. And I've created a handful of businesses, a handful of brands that I know I can build, because I know how to make content. I know how to navigate social media. These are brands that mean a lot to me. They're aligned with my purpose of how I want to spend my life, and I know I can create content and therefore grow those brands for a very long time, because that is what it takes. It takes consistent, long-term creation. of really like a lot of energy. Like it's a lot, showing up on camera, putting your energy out there. You know, it's you're entering into this very intense collective conversation. And I took a couple years to step back from that, and I'm like, well, what do I actually want to do? What, like, first coming to terms with like, okay, I've got to start from scratch here. I got to start from zero after 10, you know, after this massive ride that we've all been on. I've got to start from that. Took a while. That took a few months, but I've got the new plan. I've been executing the plan for the last couple of years. I went on a detour through a relationship. I went into a network marketing company, and you know, went on a different kind of side quest. But I also picked up some really valuable things that I'm going to integrate back into the main quest. So that took me to 6 months ago when I ended my relationship in Miami. I returned to Colombia, took a sigh of relief. I looked at the map that I had created a couple of years ago of the brands that I'm building, and got to work. And I went to Guatapé and entered a hustle monk mode. That's where I focused completely on the first brand, which will be very important to me for a very long time. That's the Flow Wolf, and that is a posture correction brand. You may not know, but I have an 85-degree kypho scoliosis that developed in my teenage years. And funnily enough, the healing process of that began when I accepted it's my fault. It's my responsibility to heal. You know, especially as a teenager, you look around the world and you say, hey, you know, I had this thing happening to me, you know, like who can help me? And you can, you know, the surgeon says, well, we can't do surgery, so good luck. And then you go and you talk to other people, and they do an hour session, and you know, they give you some pointers, and then you ignore it and things go on. And you know, it's like when you take extreme ownership that everything in your life is your fault, healing begins. And that's certainly been true. And a few years back, when I almost got choked out, and I shared that on this channel, the health scare that I had, I've been going very deep into self-healing, and it worked. I unfolded myself. I increased my height 2 inches as I corrected my posture. There's some spinal correction, but a lot of it is postural correction. Those are different things. So I started making TikToks. I got 10-20 million views on TikTok. I created a Telegram membership channel, which I offered membership to, where I can provide people guidance and coaching about how to heal and correct their postures. And there's a lot of people out there who are neglected, and it's a very mental, emotional thing, and people who are just like, I have this thing, and their healing begins when they take ownership, when they accept that it's you know, it doesn't matter how it happens, the way they breathe it's on them. It's their responsibility. The way they move, the way they sit, the way they hold themselves every single day is on them. Extreme ownership. So I offered a Telegram membership. Now, when I say I arrived to Colombia, I arrived, I got a $70 ticket from Miami to Colombia. I looked at the prices of the hotels, Airbnbs. I couldn't afford it. Like, I was dead broke. But mentally I'm great, because I know what I can do. I know what potential I have. But I'm just like, wow, like this is the rock bottom part of the story. And I slept on a friend's couch out in Santa Elena because I couldn't afford a hotel in Medellin. But I got to work. Made the videos, started getting some memberships through. Every single day I was uploading one or two TikToks. And I got to, in a couple months, I got to $1,000 a month of recurring memberships with zero, you know, like there wasn't any cost involved in that to make TikToks and open up a Telegram membership. How powerful is that? Like with a phone, being able to create a business and an income stream with the ability of making content, of providing a system, providing a product or a service. So that's how I went from $0 to $1,000 a month. I'm now, doing other things in real estate marketing, and we'll get to that on another video. But this is just the story of things that I'm taking ownership of, and because I value this conversation that we're having. I value these relationships that we have. Like, I've seen you guys commenting over the years, like these are real relationships, and they manifest into the physical. This isn't just some social media thing. This is like, I meet people in Colombia, I hear comments of people. I was inspired by your videos. You were part of the reason I moved to Colombia. Like, lives are being changed through the content that I'm putting out there, and that's really special. And I want to continue on the same path that I've been on, which is to create a sovereign lifestyle that is not dependent on any one country or thing, because I know that's something I've developed and nurtured in my own life, and I know that there's a lot of people who are looking how to do that. And we're talking a little bit of flag theory. We're talking about multiple citizenships, diversified investments, cash flow, freedom of time, freedom of location, freedom of the mind, how to think differently, how to think for yourself, and how to design a life in this current world that we're living in with the opportunities we have. If you ignore the fear-driven media, if you focus on building things that are valuable and lasting, I think that's where the path is. That's where the future is. So a lot of people have become untethered. They have this freedom of location right now, and we're all kind of reorganizing our civilization right now. So I've identified the path that I'm on. I'm going to be documenting that path on this channel. I'm going to leave it at that for now. There's a lot to get into, but I'll let that play out as it does as we continue. So thanks for tuning in. I hope this is clarified. It's my fault. Everything that is happening right now is my fault, and I think that's a beautiful thing, because I'm excited about what is my fault right now. See you guys in the next one.